Hello Mila, hello Jack. Hello everybody else who's watching and welcome to Storytime with Grandad. Today's book is from Mrs. Pepperpot and it's Mrs. Pepperpot Learns to Swim. In the warm weather, Mrs. Pepperpot always walked through the wood when she went shopping. In the middle of the wood was a large pool where the village children swam. They splashed about, raced each other up and down. Mrs. Pepperpot always stopped to watch, and she would sigh to herself and think, if only I could do that, because nobody had taught her to swim when she was a little girl. One day, when she got home, she decided to practice swimming in the kitchen. She balanced herself on her tummy on the kitchen stool, but when she flung out her arms, she knocked a saucepan of soup off the stove. Every night, she would dream about swimming. One night, she dreamt that she could do the breaststroke. She stretched forward her arms, bent her knees, and then, wham! One foot almost kicked a hole in the wall, and the other knocked Mr. Pepperpot out of bed. "What's the matter with you?" said Mr. Pepperpot. "I'm swimming," answered Mrs. Pepperpot, who was still half in a dream, "and it's a most wonderful feeling." "Well, it's not wonderful for me, I can tell you," said Mr. Pepperpot crossly. Then came a bright, warm day when all the village children were going on a picnic in the mountains. "That's good," thought Mrs. Pepperpot. "There'll be no children in the pool today. I'll have a chance to learn how to swim." And she walked through the wood to the pool. It certainly looked inviting, with the sun shining down through the leaves, making pretty patterns on the still water. She sat down on the soft grass and took off her shoes and stockings. Peering over the edge, she could see the water was very shallow, so she stood up and said to herself, "All right, Mrs. P, here goes," and she jumped in. But just at that moment, she shrank. And now, of course, the pool seemed like an ocean to tiny Mrs. Pepperpot. "Help, help!" she cried. "Hold on," said a deep, throaty voice from below, and a large frog swam smoothly towards her. "You should never jump in a pool if you don't have someone with you," he said. "Now, get on my back," and he swam to a rock so Mrs. Pepperpot could get her breath. "You're a very good swimmer," said Mrs. Pepperpot. The frog puffed himself up importantly. "I'm the best swimming teacher in this pool," he said. "Do you think you could teach me to swim?" asked Mrs. Pepperpot. "Of course, we'll begin right away if you like. Frogs are very good at breaststroke. You climb on my back and watch what I do." Mrs. Pepperpot watched how the frog moved his arms and legs in time. Then he found her a little piece of floating wood and told her to hang on, and she pushed along with her legs just like the frog had done. After a while, she found herself swimming along without the piece of wood. "Yippee!" she shouted with excitement. But the frog, who had been swimming close to her all the time, came up behind her and lifted her onto his back. "That's enough for the moment," he said, and took her back to the rock for a rest. Mrs. Pepperpot was feeling so pleased with herself, she wanted to carry straight on and learn to crawl. "Not so fast, my dear," the frog said. "You must keep practicing breaststroke before you can do other things. I'll get my tadpoles to give you a show of water acrobatics. How's that?" "Wonderful," said Mrs. Pepperpot. "Come on, children," he croaked. "I want you to show this lady all your best tricks." First, the tadpoles swam to the top of the water. Then they dived to the bottom. Then they wove in and out of the reeds in a beautiful pattern. And then, like aeroplanes doing acrobatics, they rolled over and over and looped the loop. The frog had puffed himself up so much he was nearly bursting with pride. Mrs. Pepperpot was just standing up to cheer the tadpoles when she found herself rolling about in what seemed more like a large puddle than a deep pool. She had grown. As she picked herself up and waded out of the water to the bank, she could see no sign of the frog or the tadpole, so she hurried home. A few days passed before Mrs. Pepperpot got a chance to go back to the pool. But before she knew it, she was swimming along and felt very proud. Then she saw that she was being followed. There was the frog, and behind him were all the tadpoles. The frog came to the top of the water and gave a loud croak. "Thanks, Mrs. Frog," said Mrs. Pepperpot. "You're the best swimming teacher in the world." "Told you so," said the frog, and with an elegant kick of his back legs, he did a nosedive down into the pool, and all the tadpoles followed after. The end. Goodbye, Mila. Goodbye, Jack. I'll see you soon. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.